All right, so let's move on to the next section, which is section D of your lab. And in this section, we are going to look at observed reactions between acids, and the acid that we're going to be using is hydrochloric acid, and specifically 1 molar hydrochloric acid, and we're going to be reacting with a couple of metals. So we have magnesium, copper, and zinc. So take a look at the initial appearance of each of these metals, and then when we come back, I would also show you the initial appearance of the acid that we've placed, about 2 mils of the acid in test tubes. And so what you're going to... Alright, so let's go ahead and add a few pieces of your magnesium into the acid. And you can observe what happens. That was the reaction between magnesium and hydrochloric acid. And our second reaction, we are going to place a few pieces of copper shots into the acid, and you can collect your observations right there. And our last reaction, we are going to add some zinc granules so you can observe the reactions more closely. And in your mind, you should begin to look at the feature that tells you a reaction has occurred and which ones have reacted and which ones have not. Alright, so let's move on to section E. And in this reaction, we are going to observe the reaction between copper 2 sulfate and zinc metal. So I'll encourage you to look at the appearance of the copper 2 sulfate solution and the zinc metal. Then let me go ahead and place some zinc into your copper sulfate solution, and you can observe the initial appearance of what has happened to the reaction. And I will pause the video and move on to reaction F, then come back later in about 10-15 minutes, so we make a final observation of what has happened. So it's about 10 minutes since we combined the copper 2 sulfate solution with the zinc metal. So you can now make your observations for what has happened in the reaction.